Tales of Mithrym.
Skeleton Crew, read by Lorenzo, Part 13, Blood. A tentacle erupted from the sea, bright purple and covered in suckers. It rose high into the air, illuminated by the early morning sun. All assembled stood motionless as they waited to see what would happen next. Over on the pirate ship, they could hear the cackle laughter of the first mate. "Kraken!" Bonnie shouted. The tentacle came down hard on the main ship, hitting the deck and splintering many of the planks. Most of the crew fell hard to the boards, but several found themselves slipping towards the edge and over into the cold waves beneath. More tentacles erupted from the sea and began reaching out in all directions as the first mate's laughter continued to ring out over even the roaring of the waters. People began to scramble in all directions as another tentacle came down hard on the deck. Several more felt themselves sliding as they fell over the edge and joined the others in the wash. At last, the head of the great beast came fully visible too. A large, pointed head with two great eyes set in it that blinked for a moment in the light of the early sun, then focused on the crew. Somewhere beneath the mass of writhing tentacles, a mouth opened. The Kraken roared. Derville, still in the middle of the deck, had fallen with the others and was sliding towards the edge as a hand quickly grabbed hers. Elvin had rushed down and was bracing against the rails to pull her back up. With an effort he heaved, but the splashing wash on the boards was making it hard to hold steady. Just then, though, there was a thud as a figure swung in on a rope and landed beside him. It was Ducky. The great man grabbed Derville's other hand, and together they pulled her up. The three stumbled together up the stairs onto the poop of the ship. "What is that thing?" Derville panted. Elvin caught his breath. "I do not know." "I don't know, but it's huge," Ducky added, looking up at it. The tentacles rounded again and struck the ship. They held fast to the railing beside them as the ship creaked and splintered once more. "It's a Kraken!" came the voice of Bonnie. She and Sam ran up to join them. She looked stunned. "I didn't think they were real." Another figure swung across from the pirate ship and landed beside them. "Real enough," the pirate captain said with a growl. "And that damned fool has summoned it. Question is, how do we stop it?" "We?" Sam looked taken aback. "Aye, lad, we." The pirate captain smiled. "I'm sorry I ever harbored that wretch, but things are what they are. Now, how do we get rid of it?" There was a moment of confusion, then Bonnie spoke. "I can't say as I've never heard much about them," she began. "Mostly what they looks like, but it seems to me that the problem we've got is those arms of its." She pointed at the great tentacles. "Right," Elvin said, looking around them. "Take these." He grabbed at several dropped and discarded cut glasses on the deck. 2 by 2, he began handing swords to those without them. "Ducky and Derville, you two together. Sam, Bonnie, you two take one. Captain?" The captain smiled at him and raised her sword. "You're with me," Elvin smiled back. "Aye, lad," the captain cried and sprang forward with Elvin. They all made their way up the rigging. Ducky pulled Derville and Derville guided Ducky until they were directly over one flailing tentacle. Dropping hard onto it, they began to hack with their weapons. The beast let out a great roar and shook itself violently. Derville held fast, but Ducky was thrown down to the deck. Likewise, Sam and Bonnie stabbed at the beast but quickly joined Ducky on the deck as they were thrown down. Elvin and the captain had barely landed when they heard the first mate's voice boom once again. "Harder! Stronger!" he cried. They could see wisps of blue magic surging over the creature as he did. "Beat them down!" The tentacles all came down hard, throwing the attackers down hard onto the deck and splintering the wood even more. They each pulled themselves up and saw as the beast was rounding for another attack. "I don't know about you," Ducky said, taking it all in, "but the sea's looking like a better bet to me at the moment." "Don't kid yourself," Derville called out. "That thing would swallow you up if you fell in." "I think," Elvin panted, trying hard to focus, I think I have a plan. If we can just..." He stopped. There was no end to that sentence. He desperately thought for something they could do. "I'm sorry," came the voice of the pirate captain. I never meant for this." "Captain!" A voice called. It sounded slow and laboured. The pirate captain looked around to see her crew standing on deck beside them. She made to speak, but the crew began together. "We cannot hold for long." As each struggled to speak, another took up the line. "We have little will left. He will command us and you will die." "No," she cried. "We'll stop him. We'll keel haul him." "No," the chorus continued. "We can save the living can be saved. We have lived long enough. We... No! The captain cried again. No, I won't. We can save you like you saved us. Lads, the captain called. The crew stood straight and saluted. Goodbye, Captain. And with that turned and began climbing and leaping up onto the flailing tentacles of the beast, each in pairs 2 by 2 as the others had tried, landing and hacking and slashing at the creature. As they did, it seemed to Ducky and Dervil and Elvin that the eyes of the undead looked almost alive again. They seemed to smile, and then, one by one, they began to glow with a radiant light. In a flurry of bursts, almost like a chorus of fireworks, they each exploded with light and disappeared as the beast recoiled in pain. Its tentacles burnt. At last, even the ghost of Samson flew straight at the creature and, with an enormous burst of light, blinded it, pushing it back into the water. Goodbye, the captain called. There was a cheer from the sailors as they watched this, but it was quickly silenced as the voice of the first mate cut through again. No! He cried, landing down on the deck of the main ship himself, looking at the Kraken and commanding it with all his anger. Harder! Stronger! Imu demands blood! The beast reared up again. Seemingly all its might was bearing down hard on them. Abandon ship! Ducky cried, pulling Elvin and Dervil with him as he leapt off the deck. Many followed his lead. The first mate cackled. Imu demands blood! Imu demands! Then he turned and saw as the tentacles came down hard, crashing into the already heavily beaten deck, splintering it further and splitting the ship in two. His cries and his anger could be heard all around as the ship finally broke apart and was dragged far below, with the first mate rigid on its deck.
Tales of Mithrym are written by Jimmy Clephane. Mithrym is a fantasy world built for the Dungeon Room role-playing game system. To find out more about the world of Mithrym, or to try out the game, go to www